In this lesson, I will show you the VLOOKUP function. The first thing you need to understand is what the VLOOKUP does, why there is a need for such a function. Look at the data range at hand. Let's say that you want to be able to type a city on a cell and get the salesperson for that city, or get the sales amount for the city, or any other data to the right of the city. So the VLOOKUP function will do exactly that. It will use the first column of the data area you have and search there whatever you want to look for. If it finds what you are looking for, it will return the value of a cell to the right, which cell it's something that you can choose. Let's see this in action. I have already used VLOOKUP in cell B14. The function here uses the city in cell A14, and if that city exists, it displays the name of the salesperson. Now that the city in A14 is Milan, it shows the name Rossi because that is the name of in the data here in cell B3. I will select the cell A14 and type New York in its place and press enter here. Notice that in cell B14 the name of the salesperson changed to match the city of New York in the data range above. I can make VLOOKUP return any of the columns. In this specific example, it returns the second column, which is the name of the salesperson, but it could also return the third column, which is the total sales, or the fourth column, which is the start date. What cannot be changed in the VLOOKUP function is the column in which the search is done. This column, the search column, is always the first of the selected data range. That is, it searches in the first column, and if it finds the value I'm looking for, it gives me a value in the column that I have selected. The search is done vertically, and this is where the V in the function's name comes from. It is a vertical lookup, a VLOOKUP. I will select cell B14 and press delete on the keyboard to remove the VLOOKUP function I had there so that I can recreate it now. The VLOOKUP function is found under the Formulas tab in the function library. I will open the lookup and reference functions and scroll down to find the VLOOKUP function and insert it with a click. As I mentioned in previous lessons, if you know the name of the function, the easiest way is to type the equal sign and then the name directly in the cell, but it's good to have an alternative in case you forget the name. Here I need to enter 4 parameters. The first parameter is the search value, what I'm looking for in the first column of the data range. I repeat that the search is always done in the first column of the data range I select and cannot change. I could enter a specific value here. For example, I could enter New York in double quotes, but I think the best option is to use a cell so that it takes the value from the cell. I will click on cell A14 to select it, so whatever I write in A14 will be what I'm searching for. I will now click on the second parameter, which is the data table, the data area. My data is from cell A1 to D9, so this is what I want. I will move on with a click to the third parameter, where I need to enter the column number from which the search result will come. If you look at the data table I selected, the first column is the city and the second column is the name, so I will enter the number 2 here to indicate that I want data from the second column. The fourth parameter defines whether the search will be approximate or if what I'm looking for needs to match the data exactly. I will talk about this parameter at the end of the lesson. For now, I will just type false to indicate that I don't want an approximate search. This means that the city I write in cell A14 must match exactly the city in the first column of the data. I will click OK now, and I have the result you saw before. I will go to cell A14, type Madrid here and press enter. So the name of the salesperson changes to reflect whatever I typed as the city. I will now write in cell A14 New York, but notice that this time I will put a hyphen between New and York, and I will press enter here. Now the result is an error, which means the value I'm looking for does not exist. It is not available. This is the not available error. If you are thinking that the approximate search would give you the result, this is not the case. You will see shortly what the approximate search does. I will now change the column that provides the result to show you how it works. I will select cell B14 and click on the FX button in the formula bar to edit the function. In the third parameter, I will change the number 2 to 3, so it returns the data from the third column, and I will click OK here. Of course, it still gives me the not available error because the city I have written does not exist. I will type Athens in cell A14 and press enter here. Now the VLOOKUP function gives me the total sales for the city I wrote because it returns the value in the third column of the data area. Let's see another example to better understand how the data range I choose can make a difference. Let's say that I now want to write the salesperson's name in cell B15. Note the salesperson's name, which you can see that it is in column B, and in cell C15 it should display the total sales. You might think this is not possible because I said VLOOKUP searches in the first column of the data. Indeed, it searches in the first column, but which will be the first column is determined by me. See what I mean? I will go to cell C15 and I will type equals VL and double click on the VLOOKUP function that already appeared. Now in the formula bar I will click FX to open the function's parameters. As the search value I will select cell B15 with a click. Now for the second parameter I will select the data range to be from B1 to D9. That's the trick. Now the first column of the data range I selected is column B, so the search will be conducted in this column, which is the first column of the data range B1 to D9. I will go to the third parameter, and here I will enter the number 2. Why 2? Since the first column of my data range is B, then column C, which interests me, is the second column. The key point is to understand that everything operates in relation to the data range you select. Since the data range is B1 to D9, then column B is the first column, at least the first column of that range, and column C is the second column of that range. Finally, I will put false in the fourth parameter for an exact match, and I will click OK. As expected, the not available error came up because I haven't put anything in cell B15 yet. I will go to B15 and enter the value Miller here and press enter. Now I can find the total sales by searching for the salesperson's name in cells A14 and B14. I search for the city and get the total sales of that city. Keep in mind that I cannot take values that are outside the data range I defined. For example, I cannot search for the surname and have as a result the city because it is outside of the data range B1 to D9 and must use for column B to be the first column. There are other functions that can do this job, but all these are subjects of the advanced level for those who decide to take this step. What you need to remember is that VLOOKUP can only give you data to the right of the selected data range and not to the left. Let's see now how you can use VLOOKUP for an approximate search. I will move to the Sales 2 worksheet, and first, notice that the data here is structured differently. The first column has the total sales, so selecting all the data from A1 to D9, the search will be based on the total sales. This data arrangement is intentional. Also note that the data for total sales is sorted. This is absolutely necessary for the approximate search with VLOOKUP to work correctly. If they were not sorted, I would have invalid results. I will now go to cell B12 and put the function here. So I will type equals VLOOKUP, double click on VLOOKUP, and from the formula bar I will press the FX button. As the search value, I will select the cell A12, so I search whatever I write here. As the data table, I will select the range A1 to D9. As the column number, I will put 3, so it returns the salesperson's name. And in the fourth parameter, this time I will put true to perform an approximate search, and I will click OK here. Nice. Now I will go to cell A12 and enter the value 19,000 and press enter. This value exists in the data, so it showed me DuPont. I will go again to cell A12, and now I will enter the value 17,000, which does not exist in the data. I will press enter, and instead of saying that the value does not exist, it gave me NOWAC as a result. Why NOWAC? Well, look at the data. The closest values to 17,000 are 12,000 for NOWAC and 18,000 for Papadopoulos. You might think it should display Papadopoulos since it's closer to 17,000, but the approximate search in the VLOOKUP function does not work like that. It will return as the search result the last value that does not exceed, that is not greater than what I'm looking for, what I'm searching for. The last value that does not exceed 17,000 is 12,000, so that's why I get NOWAC as a result. To see this better, I will enter in cell A12 the value 18,999, and I will press enter here. With the same logic, it displays Papadopoulos and not DuPont, because the last value that does not exceed 18,999 is the 18,000 of Papadopoulos. The approximate search will also work on alphanumerical values, for example on the names of the salespersons, provided they are the first column of the data range I select, and provided that they are sorted in ascending order. This sorting is very important because otherwise I will not get the correct results. What you mainly need to remember is the logic with which the function operates. VLOOKUP always searches in the first column of the data range you select. This is standard, this cannot change. Once it finds the value you are looking for, you can choose which column's data you want the VLOOKUP to return to you. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.